Yeah, so we were just getting into what is sexual kung fu, and to be able to get into what is sexual kung fu, we need to define some things about basically sexual kung fu being a method of self-transformation, a direct method of self-transformation. So in that sense, we are becoming more aware of what self is, what transformation is, what our original nature is, and then we got into the infinite potential. And I was explaining that that's why I chose the backdrop, which is black, which is a yin. So in the Tao tradition, you always have this white and black yin yang symbol, right? That everybody knows. Now, I hope that through bringing forth these ancient teachings of the Tao, there will be no need anymore for this yin-yang symbol, that it's something that belonged to the light-dark paradigm that we were in, and that now that we're moving into the light paradigm, the new earth, we already actually moved into it since 2012, but since we are creating that new earth, that we don't need to necessarily have those symbols anymore of light dark, that we can just stay in high vibrations in that sense. But we're still going to work with, embody, express our feminine powers, which are the infinite potential, which is, you could say, the world where we are coming from, the potential. So everything that exists now exists in potential. Like I'm here 1 second, and this is another second, and I'm a different version, and then this is a different version of me, and then moving again in and out. So in that sense, I am all the time coming from that infinite potential. So that infinite potential is where I'm coming from. This is the manifested world. So the outer landscape, you could say. And then you have the inner landscape, which is really what the Taoists are about in the sense of self-transformation, which is the inner landscape is really in between the infinite potential and the manifested realm world. So the manifested world is everything that we can touch, hear, sense, smell, taste, all the things that are basically existing in the outside world that we take for reality. Now the inner landscape has nothing to do with our physical body, for example. It's really a different world. So you have the infinite potential, that's one landscape. You have the outer landscape, the one that you are seeing me in right now. Then we have the inner landscape. And for a Taoist or somebody that practices sexual kung fu, the actual inner landscape is the most interesting. Basically, a Taoist is not that impressed or interested in everything in the outside world, in the sense of knowing that we can actually transform ourselves, and through the inner landscape can actually manifest quicker and more effective the world around us than trying to fix it on the outside in that sense. So basically, that is the sexual kung fu is a way of self-transformation in the sense of believing. I guess it's a belief system that self-transformation is the greatest gift that we can give to the world and to ourselves and to everyone around us. Now, in that sense, it's like if you want to awaken all of humanity, that's Lao Tzu that said that. If you want to awaken all of humanity, then awaken all of yourself. It's beautiful, no? If you want to awaken all of humanity, then awaken all of yourself. If you want to eliminate all the suffering in the world, then eliminate all that is negative or dark within yourself. yeah, so speaking about that, then you can see that self-transformation really is the greatest gift that we can offer the world. So if one of us does that, that's beautiful, obviously. But if a million of us do that, or a billion of us do that, then can you imagine the power of that? We could be able to really answer all the questions that we are faced with today as a world, like the questions in the sense of how can we take care of our planet? How can we take care of our body? How can we take care of our air and our earth and our water, so that not only our children, but thousands of lineages coming after our children are also enjoying this planet for what it is. So we're faced with so many complex um, divisions or separations in the world, that when you bring it back into your own self-transformation, then it's more easy, you could say. So in that sense, sexual kung fu really simply is a method or a gift that you can offer that actually creates self-transformation. So yeah, speaking about the infinite potential in the sense of um, the darkness, in that sense, like we have completely disconnected, like in the West. I'm not speaking about other mystery schools and the ancient wisdoms, you know, all the cultures that have all over the world have kept these beautiful wisdoms alive. I'm talking about in the West, where we are so driven by consummation, by productivity, by always needing to be productive, that we have so much separated from our true nature, or from our, you know, hearts in a way, and just really following more the mental constructions or complexity of our world, that it has become kind of a challenge to live from the heart, or to follow a true path, or to follow your truth in that sense. So sexual kung fu really can help us to find back our true path or our truth, which really lives within our heart. And not only that, like we got so used to in the West to kind of be only in the head, that when you want to make the transition to go into the heart, that it's already kind of challenging, let alone going deeper into the belly, and really embody the body with all of our soul and awareness and all the other things that in which we exist. So in that sense, you could say that um, that the sexual kung fu is the basis of self-transformation. Why? Because it is related to your sexual energy. And sexual energy by itself is the greatest force that we have of nature. It's wild, it's untamed, it's alive, it's yeah, it's very uh, erotic and very sensual and very sexual. It's like all these things is like connected to that energy that is running within us. And through thousands and thousands of years of suppression in the sense of not acknowledging it, trying to suppress it, or uh, through religions, or cultural education, or through programming into our cultures, it has kind of moved into a much more negative view. So without us knowing it, we have a kind of a negative, not everyone, but generally speaking, we have a kind of a negative view on ourselves, on what you can call our sexual identity. So when we speak about our sexual identity, we are not only speaking about gender, because when we speak about gender, like, do you feel a man in a woman's body, or do you feel a woman in a man's body, or do you not feel identified with neither the feeling of a woman or a man, or the feeling of feminine, masculine? All these things are related to gender. What are you attracted to? What are you not attracted to? Are you binary? Are you asexual? Are you, there's all these different viewpoints, and there's all these different experiences that we can have. But when I speak about sexual identity, I don't speak about gender. I really speak about the identity, the personality that is linked to your sexual energy and the way that you view yourself. So it could be linked to, for example, unknowingly, unconsciously, to, for example, self-doubt. Or it could be linked to unknowingly believing that somehow we are fundamentally wrong, or that there's something fundamentally wrong with us, or that we are not good enough, not beautiful enough, not intelligent enough, not smart enough, not all these things. So basically, when you go deep down into your sexual identity, even though maybe on the outside you feel that you are, kind of happy with it, there's layers and layers of programming, especially in the West, that really prevent us really from truly connecting to what you could call our true nature, but I like to just call it our open intelligence. Something within us that is open and intelligent and living as such, which is, I believe, the birthright for everyone to actually live in that open intelligence, or that natural, our true nature in that sense. I know if you've just tuned into my live, it doesn't make any sense at the moment, but I'm also recording this on my YouTube channel, so then maybe it's more easy to follow it. And also, I do have to bring in a lot of different aspects before I can actually get to the point. So I'm getting there. So yeah, so for example, why I want to speak about that fundamental self ignorance, you could say, or denial, let's call it denial. So that fundamental self-denial comes from our birth in every type of culture where we believe that we are not good enough. We're saying even when we were a child, like our parents would say, don't do it like this or do it like that, or normal. I mean, this is not about blaming our parents at all. Like they've given us 1,000 different programs, and we decide which one we're gonna take from it and live with it and experience it, right? So it's not about blaming, but it is about that our fundamental or true nature is perfect or complete, and it's an easy way of being, but we don't know it. That's our problem. And anyway, I'm not speaking as a teaching here, because I'm not qualified to speak about this as a teacher. I'm really speaking about it as my own experience. So now, where I want to get to is that we are addicted to love, or addicted to intimate relationships, in a sense of that we are trying to make our partner be responsible for our own feeling of emptiness. So we're trying to fill up ourselves through our work, through money, through power, through control, through sexual relationships, through intimate relationships, through so many ways. And this comes forth from not knowing how our state of being is constantly, we are constantly complete and perfect and all these things like love, light, all these things that we are constantly, no matter what we are doing or not doing, no matter how we are feeling or not feeling, no matter what we are thinking or not thinking, we are that all the time. So if we know how to get into that state, or if we know how to perceive that open intelligence or our true nature in the correct way, then we are free in that sense. So sexual kung fu can really help with that. How can it help with that? Because a lot of people are trying to compensate this loss or this empty feeling in intimate relationships, and I know it myself too. I know, like, I'm not just saying this for other people, I'm saying it also for myself. It's like we're trying to compensate with getting respect from others, getting love from others, getting attention from others, that others tell us how beautiful and intelligent and connected we are. And, we're trying to connect ourselves through the others to something that is really fundamentally within us. So our intimate relationships are actually the ones that are showing us that the most, because we're the most vulnerable. So in that sense, our intimate relationships can actually strengthen the opposite of what we are looking for. They can actually make us more insecure, and they can actually make us more dependent, because somehow there is this kind of addiction, or there is this kind of wanting to fill ourselves up through the intimate relationship with the other. I don't know if I'm making any sense right now, but I'm trying to get to the point where sexual kung fu is really, it's really highly recommended for everybody to start doing that. I think if I really want to say it simply, I can say it simply by saying we can actually stop giving our responsibility away for our own sexual happiness, and really start connecting to our own sexual identity and heal it through the sexual kung fu, through the self-transformation. It's very interesting because it all works basically with safety. Are you feeling safe with yourself to explore? Are you feeling safe with another to explore? So that's the first base. The first base is always related in safety. And that's why in for example, the workshops that I give, it's only for females, so that we can create a very safe ground in which we can not explore together, but because the explorations are really up to each person themselves, but to at least even talk about it. Talk about our sexual feelings, talk about our sexual intimacy. And you don't need to, by the way, if you don't want to. It's just an invitation. And then you can see that so many layers of our sexual identity are hidden, suppressed, ignored. And what happens when we suppress our sexual energy is that it just explodes. So it really comes out on the wrong moment to our loved ones, for example, to the wrong people in that sense. So yeah, just one more thing about that I wanted to say. It's not that I wanted to say it, but that's coming up now, is that all these things that come up in the intimate relationship, the vulnerabilities, the exploring of the intimate and the emotional connection, these two, right? There's an intimate connection, emotional connection that constantly, there's some intimate done and emotional, some intimate and emotional. So there is constant play in between the intimate and the emotional in intimate relationships. And this play, this dance, actually brings out these hidden parts, these deep desires, these painful emotions, these ways in which we are really searching for recognition or love or attention. And these are not a problem. These are actually really the entrance to our natural state of being. So when you are with a partner that you can actually explore that in that sense, then your intimate relationship really goes to another level. And that's when it really gets interesting. So the sexual kung fu can really help with that you become independent, whether you are having a relationship or not, and that you become very clear, and that you can feel the love within you, and that it's filling you up so much that you can actually meet another person in the way that you want to meet that other person, and not out of a need or out of anything related to that in that sense. Yeah, so now I want to get to the practical part of the sexual kung fu. So I will do that, and then yeah, and then we will see where we end up. I was actually feeling into maybe doing a little meditation, like just maybe we can even do that right now. I would like it. So you can just, like, for a moment, just connect to yourself in the sense of what the Taoists call the eye force. So the eye force really starts with soft eyes. So you can, for example, like warm your hands. And then put them over your eyes. And then just allow the warmth of your hands to really go into your eyes. Now, when you do that, what's really interesting is that your whole eyes become soft. And there's different gradations of softness in the eyes. Like when you wake up in the morning, for example, your eyes are really soft, right? Now, it looks like a very simple exercise, and it is, but this, like everything that you could learn from the eye force, is within these soft eyes, because they're linked to all the different neural net in your brain and your sympathetic and parasympathetic systems, everything that's related to it, your whole body. You can even feel from your eyes into your toes. Everything is linked to the eyes. So when you relax them, you're actually telling your body and your soul that you are safe. So it's like a symbol of safety. Soft eyes is a symbol of safety, where you're saying, I'm safe right now. In the next 5 seconds, I am safe. I can relax completely. It's also, they're also linked to your kidneys. So you really feel, see, sense this sense of safety through the soft eyes. So we can just do that for a moment. And now we are moving into that inner landscape that I was just talking about. And through the soft eyes, you can also move into the second symbol of safety, which is you can have like your ears are becoming more sharp, you could say, because you're listening to all the sounds around you. And just telling yourself, your body, that whatever you're hearing, you're integrating it within you, within the silence that you are. So what we are going into in our inner landscape is what we call the Shen body. So the Shen body is really about the silence, your inner silence, basically. And when you are moving into your inner silence, you are feeling, seeing, sensing. Body is really about the silence, your inner silence, basically. So I just wanted to check if it was running. So that sound which you just heard, and the sound of my voice, and the sound of maybe around you, any sounds that are surrounding you, you can feel, see, sense that those sounds are safe. So you can basically tell your body that the sounds that you're hearing are completely safe. So it's the way to relax, like deeper into your body, into your inner landscape. Now connect to the field that is carrying the sounds. So there is a field that is carrying the sounds, for example, that reaches your ears. Like, how is it possible that your ears can hear my voice? Now, when your ears can hear my voice, it means that there is a vibration of sound that is reaching you. But what is that vibration of sound carried by? What is carrying that sound vibration? What is carrying that sound vibration is basically the silence. So it's a field of silence that is carrying those sounds. And that field of silence, or that silence, you can even just feel it as a point of silence and then move within it. So you can choose a point of silence that is coming from my voice into your ear, that is in between. You can choose a point there that gives you that silence. And you can move in it, and you can infinitely expand and infinitely move inwards. So you're imploding and you're exploding at the same time. You're expanding your awareness completely through that silence, and you're also becoming smaller and smaller. Now that gives you very easy and very direct experience of the silence that you are. So you can feel it within and around you, that there is just pure silence. Now let's move into, because we're doing the I force movement, let's move into the third symbol of safety. So let's move that silence, and let's move that beautiful soft eyes down through the throat into our chi body, into our heart. So we're moving now with our awareness into our heart. Now you can imagine your heart like a beautiful flower, or you can imagine your heart like any other symbol that is opening, like an opening flower, or any other symbol that feels good for you that is opening. And it doesn't need to be big, wide opening. It can be very subtle opening. And when you're in that subtle opening of your heart, just become aware very simply of what it feels like to you. to just feel, see, sense this sense of just being kind for yourself. What does it give you? What do you feel like when you're just being very gentle and soft and warm and kind and compassionate to yourself? Now, it's possible that you feel a very subtle opening. It's possible that you feel a big opening. It's possible that you're not feeling anything, that it's just numbed, that somehow it's hard to get into any feeling into the heart. So that is totally fine. Like whatever you are experiencing as it is right now, it's just what we are going to welcome. So some of you might feel like bliss, and others might feel like pain, like it's painful. Some painful stories or feelings or emotions are coming. And some of you might feel all of it, like some impatience. It's also related to the heart. Some irritation. It's also related to the heart. Maybe all of it together, some bliss, some painful, some joy, some irritation. Just hold that space for yourself to feel it, and then connect yourself to your heart within, to the source within. And you can also choose to connect it to somebody that you love. So, or for example, an animal that you love, like a cat or a dog or a fish or a tree that you love, or another person. But really feel that sense of connection here. So you're feeling, seeing, sensing that sense of connection to the source within. Okay, now let's go down. Let's bring the chi and the shen. Let's bring the soft eyes and the open heart down into the belly. So now down into the belly, we are really feeling, seeing, sensing that sense of warmth. So there's a warm belly there. We are bringing that connection, that love, and that silence down into the belly. And now we're connecting to a very different body. So this is the third body. We could say the first body, because this is our Jing, this is our life force. So feel, see, sense in your inner landscape now how you're connecting to that life force. And you can just reflect for a moment, like how you would actually take care of that life force in a better way. Are you spending it a lot? What are you doing with your energy? Are you taking care of your body? Are you taking care of yourself? It's a very soft power that we are connecting into, and yet at the same time, it's very powerful. For some of you, it might feel like a fire, and this is where the Taoists call the first fire. Very nice, right? It's very simple. And when you practice this more often, it becomes natural. So, for example, now we did a very simple exercise of the I force. So the I force is really connecting those three different parts of the body, or those three different bodies. as one. So this is what the I force is. It's like the combined or the union of these three different refinements of life force. You can feel that the life force in your belly is much more manifested than the life force in your heart. It's much more refined energy. And the life force of the Shen, of the upper part of your inner landscape, again, is much lighter and much more evaporative, not as manifested as the Jing. So when you combine these three forces into one, that's what we call the I force. So, for example, the Jing. Let's talk about the Jing in your inner landscape. So the Jing in your inner landscape is not has nothing to do with your physical outer landscape that I was talking about in the beginning. That is, you know, in between the infinite potential and the physical manifested outer landscape and your inner landscape. The Jing is you can't touch it. It's inside of your inner landscape. So when you look at, for example, the outer landscape and the inner landscape. So for example, for me, like I can touch my body, right? So that's the outer landscape. But the inner landscape, you can't see it, but you can see it through radiance, for example. So on the days where you feel really happy and you're radiating and there's just this beauty coming out, that is the Jing, that is energy. Now this energy, so the I force and the state that now we did it in a meditation, but once you are going to practice, you're going to have this state with you continuously. So also when you are working, and also when you are even in a difficult, challenging situation, having a difficult conversation, or having to go through traffic, or any other situation where normally you would get a little stressed. Now through the I force, through the soft eyes, just always coming back to the soft eyes, coming back to the soft eyes, coming back to the soft eyes, you actually, through the soft eyes, you actually learn how to really adjust in that situation, like we say, like being in the eye of the storm. Not only the outer storm, but also the inner storm. So this was just a tiny little experience, because I like more to allow you to directly experience something than always using words and trying to explain something, which is anyway a little complex to try to get into. But I do want to continue to now to a more practical way of what we do with sexual Kung Fu. Thank you, Lola. It's really sweet. Did you notice that my first live, I deleted it because this is the one. It was a very nice one also. So yeah, so let's go a little bit more now into the more practical side of what is sexual Kung Fu. So the practical side of what is sexual Kung Fu is, for example, when you learn how to harvest or harness your sexual energy. So when you learn how to harvest your sexual energy, it means that you can actually use your sexual energy for your own benefit, not only for your own healing. So what you do with it is that you ignite that energy and then you bring it up in the body, which I will go into just a little bit after. You bring it up in the body, and through the body, you start to create what in the Tao we call medicine or a nectar. So it's like whether it's nectar or golden light or medicine, it has many names in the ancient traditions, right? But really, basically, what it is that it's the self healing capacity of the body itself. So it's kind of sad that we are walking around on a planet where there's so much burnout and there's so much stress, and that actually we don't know that within us there is this, yeah, you could say, a source of energy that we can't seem to access just simply because we don't know about it. In the West, we only know reproductive sexuality, where somehow instead of making a child, we can actually use that energy for ourselves to bring it up into our body and create that medicine from which you can self-heal, self-transform. So in that sense, it's just simply something that we have just not been introduced to. So that's why, for example, I'm doing this live and why I'm teaching it and I'm giving courses about it to women, because it is such a, it really turns you on. It really gives you energy. It really awakens you. It really starts this whole process of self-transformation by allowing yourself to become aware of your sexual identity. Like, how do I perceive my sexual identity? And in that sense, it's very interesting because in the West, we know only two phases of transformational sexuality. There's not even transformational sexuality, it's just reproductive sexuality. And even though we believe that we know everything about sex and that you know, we're totally free and everything like that with it, actually there is a lot of suppression that we're not aware of, and there is a lot of untapped potential that we are not aware of. So when you start to connect with sexual kung fu, you start to connect with these sources within you, and you start to learn how to really ignite that source within you, how to use that sexual energy for something else than everything that we are using it for already. So, as I said all the way in the beginning, it really makes us independent of having a partner or not, or you know, our relationships, our work, or whatever it is. It really gives us like a continuous source of energy. For example, like now, I have it turned on. So I'm not doing anything strange. I'm not doing anything which would not be safe for you or me, but I am like constantly having this, you can call it light orgasmic flow in my body, which is constantly giving me energy. It's constantly allowing me to be in a state where I'm constantly healing myself. Literally, the self-healing capacities of my body are ignited, and at the same time, where usually maybe after an hour of talking like this I would be tired, since I'm doing the sexual kung fu, I'm not tired afterwards. I'm actually energized. And why is that? Because I know how to turn on that valve of energy, basically, the source of energy. So in that sense, how do you do it, right? That would be the next question. Like, how do you turn on your own self-healing capacity through your sexual energy? Well, you turn it on through self-cultivation, so monocultivation, which is something else than, for example, masturbation. So it's not, masturbation would be, it's always kind of the same. You need to find out, obviously it's an important phase. So let's get to the point here. I know that I've gone in so many different directions, and it's really hard for me to you know, to really get to one point, because there's so many layers and streamings of information going through me. Yeah. Anyway, forgive me for that. But if you've made it so far, good for you. Amazing. So yeah, so there's 4 phases of transformational sexuality. Okay, so the first phase is masturbation. Like, you need to know where all your buttons are. You need to know how it works your body. You need to know how it works, basically. Then the second phase is that you're going to experiment with others. So the second phase is like you're exploring the being in love with someone, you're exploring intimate relationships, you're exploring where the buttons are with the others. It's really, phase 2. So phase 2 is also important. Now, phase 3 is self-cultivation, which in the West we don't know about. In the West, like, it's even a taboo, to be honest, to even speak about it. So that's why I'm like, just opening it in the human collective. Like, seriously, there could be absolutely nobody listening to my life. And even then, I'm doing the work because I'm bringing it into the human collective through a life. So in that sense, it's all good. So phase 3 is falling in love with yourself, self-cultivation. So it's something very different than masturbation, because masturbation is always the same in a way. It's like you stimulate in a certain way, and then there's an orgasm, and then that's kind of it, right? Maybe there's a few more orgasms, but it's always kind of the same. So, and it's good. There is no judgment on it. I'm just saying that there is so much more to explore, also for couples, that we haven't even tapped into. Like, I know that in the West we believe that we know everything, but we don't. There's a whole world to discover, which is connected to these types of wisdom teachings that have kept these wisdoms connected to our sexual energy. So now you have the phase of the falling in love, which is really different, because it's not about the orgasm. It's not about like going into always the same kind of movement or the same stimulation or anything like that. The whole body becomes important. It's like, as I was speaking about the intimate relationships with others, it's like some of the intimate connection and some of the emotional connection. It's a dance in between the emotional vulnerability, opening it up, and then the other, like the intimate connection, opening it up. And then so it's a play with yourself. So it's in absolute safety and intimacy, safety with yourself. So it's like, if it's your room, in your room, you close the door and that's it. Nobody's allowed in it. And you're not supposed to fantasize. Again, it's not bad, huh? Like, you can absolutely play with fantasies and, all kinds of different sexual experiences. There is no judgment towards that. I'm just saying that in the sexual kung fu, you are actually really going inside of the body. If you're having sexual fantasies, like your brain basically is activated. It starts visualizing, and for example, the brain, it doesn't know if something is imagined or that you're really living something. So whether you're imagining or living something physically, I mean, for the brain it's the same. It will start to produce these hormones, and everything starts to work as if it's really happening. But the whole idea about sexual kung fu is that you do the opposite. So instead of really looking outwards for that fantasy, for that partner, or whatever fantasy you have, you're losing your energy. You're bringing it outside. It's supposed to go all the way inside of your body. So it's not about the fantasies. It's about, what am I actually feeling in my body? Like, how does my shoulder feel like? How does my toe feel like? How does my knees feel today? So it's really like which places are heavy, which places are light, which places feel dense, which places feel open, which places feel closed, which places feel like there's emotional damage, which places feel there's any negativity or any positive feelings, or so it's very, very different. It's really like 180 degrees turn towards what we are usually used to. Like usually when we look at sexuality, it's always about the other and not very often about the self in that sense. But here, this self or monocultivation, the third phase, is what we actually explore in the sexual kung fu. So it's not in that sense, it's not with another, not because it's bad to explore with another, because it's not bad to explore with another, it's beautiful, but because it's a distraction in the sense of you have to become so subtle, like so your energy, your awareness of going into the body becomes so deep into the body, so subtle that it's really kind of hard to explore with another. Now, the dual cultivation with another, so the fourth phase, is absolutely a possibility. But even in the Tao, they say, oh, you have to do 20 years of, mono cultivation, and then you can actually do dual cultivation. So, yeah, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying like, you do have to explore a lot in the sense of going into the body and then exploring that very subtle movements and awareness, and through that open different places in the body, different channels, different places in the body in that sense. That whole inner landscape in my teachings, I give a beautiful drawing that Reinhard Edeveld made of the mystery school that I'm part of, that I'm a certified teacher from, coach, to actually show you all these different parts in the inner landscape that can be activated. So instead of trying to fix things from the outside, as we started this live already with saying it's for self-transformation, so the self-transformation really is about activating these things within you. And through activating these things within you, you grow and you awaken yourself. So if you want to awaken all of humanity, then awaken all of yourself, right? So yeah, I could go on and on and on for sure. I see there's no questions whatsoever that I could actually respond to. Would be nice, because then it's a flow, it's an exchange. Yeah, so okay, so let's just get more to the point still, more to the core of what sexual kung fu, because I don't know how long this live is already, but I'm gonna finish it soon. So the sexual kung fu is, as we said, it's a way of self-transformation, where the way that you observe, or the way that you connect to your sexual identity, to your body, to your sexual explorations is very different. So it's something very new. And through that, through allowing the energy to actually go through your body, so there's a very specific method in which we do that. So we collect the sexual energy in the sexual center in the front of the body. And in my courses, I explain this. For women, I explain exactly how it works. Then you go to the back of the body, you bring it through you're bridging it to the back of the body. So it's really important that the pelvic floor really has a good tonus, not too weak, not too strong, not too tight. So then the energy really can stream to the back of the body. And from the back of the body, there's 4 pumps there. And there is a place in the back of the body, like really opposite of the navel. where there is the Ming Men. So when you, for example, you put your 2 middle fingers on your navel and you bring it to the back of your body and you hold them there. So that's when they are on the kidneys, and the 2 middle fingers are now touching on your spine on that Ming Men. So it's really, it's a beautiful energy of, it's a gate of life where the sexual energy will go through. And when the energy will go through that point, or that gate of life, the Ming Men, it's actually refining the sexual energy, because it needs to be refined when you want to bring it to the brain. You don't just bring raw sexual energy up to the brain like that. It needs to go through a refinement process, which you learn how to do that, and then you bring it up in the body. So what is interesting is that the sexual energy really is feminine in the Tao. So you have that yin and yang symbol, right, that we were already talking about, where the feminine is the dark and the masculine is the light. So the feminine is really like, it's lightless. There's no light in it. So the feminine is really nourishing. It's magnetic. It's a state of being. It moves from the earth into the ovaries and from man into the testicles, and that's where it's created as a sexual energy. So the sexual energy, that yin force, is feminine energy. Now that feminine energy, that yin force, is collected in the ovaries and the testicles, and we can actually extract it from there into our sexual center in the front of the body, and then we bring it up. Now, when we're bringing up this feminine magnetic energy, the dark nourishing force of the earth, of the Mother Ocean, Mother Earth, and we bring it through the body, then in the front of the body, or you could say in the brain, and the whole brain part, so the whole part in the brain, we are actually bringing that energy together with the masculine energy. Thank you. With the masculine energy. So the masculine energy is very different. It's light. It's like the sun. It's bursting. It's coming through. It's like it's always on. It's enlightenment. It's bliss. It's electric. It's in the brain. Like the brain like is electric. So it's really very different. It's doing. It's a structure. It's holding. It's allowing the feminine to stream through it. So in that sense, the masculine is like always in the brain. So when you bring that feminine energy, your refined sexual energy through the 4 palms in your brain, then what happens is that they start to spiral. So they can spiral to the right, to the left. There's a whole teaching in that, obviously, that I give in my workshops, but for now, let's keep it simple. So this spiraling of the feminine and masculine powers within your brain creates that medicine that I was talking about, that nectar, that golden light, that self-healing capacities of the body. Now, this is what we call inner lovemaking. And this is super interesting, because now, instead of that you used your sexual energy to create a child, which how many times do you do that in life, right? Like I have 1 child, so I did it 1 time. There's people maybe with 10 children, but all the rest of the times, what do you do with your sexual energy, right? Like, so the interesting part is that now you didn't create a baby, you created self-healing capacity in your body. And that's what I was just talking about that light orgasmic flow that I'm constantly in, that is constantly going in those channels, the back and the front, in the microcosmic orbit. We call it the microcosmic orbit. Is constantly giving me energy. So once it's in the inner lovemaking part in the brain, and you start to be able to bring it down It again, it's in a very specific way that you bring it down through the heart into the belly, and you collect it in the belly like a warm belly. Lola is asking why do I feel like I'm giving birth? Because it is a bit like giving birth. I agree with you, because I can feel it too. It's like bringing this type of information. It's just data, huh? So it's not a big deal. It's just we are just bringing in new data into the human collective through a new channel, you could say, through the channel that is me and you, because you are really tuning into what I'm trying to connect to, what I'm trying to connect the human collective into. So for you, it feels maybe like a birth, because that really is kind of what we're doing. We are birthing a third force. So instead of creating a child, now, because you and me were connecting here, we are birthing a new energy, a new reality. So anyway, so about the microcosmic orbit, I just want to get to that point where it kind of gets a little bit more clear about what sexual kung fu is, because I have to say I didn't know it was that challenging. I thought, you know, I'll just go live and just say what sexual kung fu is, but I'm noticing that I'm like a million different ways of trying to say one thing. But I'm getting to the point now, really, is that the one thing that I'm saying is that once you have that microcosmic orbit activated, you can start to activate not only from the belly, there will be a damping or an energy going through your body that is going to first heal all of your, how you say that, around the organs, all this kind of cluttered energy of sexual energy, but also wounds from the past, any traumas, anything related to the womb, or for men for the penis, or you know, all these things that are related to our sexual organs, to all of it, like, you know. So that first it will have to start clearing and cleaning that part. Then slowly it will start to clean and clear all the rest. It goes up, and then from when it goes up, it actually goes into the heart, where again it will find that force, that I force, that we call it even there's a name for it. I just forgot the name in English. Engorgement, that's the name. We call it engorgement. It's like, you know, when a woman is breastfeeding, there is this force, there is this push, there is this, you know, the energy just, the energy just wants to go through. Now this is what we call engorgement. That's what the energy creates. So it starts to, even without maybe wanting it, it starts to open all these things. Like you might even get a bit bitchy, or, you know, like really like angry, or, you know, not maybe even your normal type of personality, but because this energy starts to move and really clean and clear energy, the engorgement. Now, after a time of that, yes, Karina, yes, I am. This super force is called I Force, and yes, I do give courses for women. I start one next week, and also one in May. But you're more than welcome to join. It's called the Dragon Portal Teachings. And you can find it on riotyourlotus.com, or just go to my bio and my profile. So yes, so the engorgement, then once the engorgement starts to move through the belly, and then it moves through the heart, and then from the heart it starts to move up into the rest of, like, your jawline, all the tensions that we hold, like the bitterness and the frustration, and in the shoulders, all the expectations, and all the, you know, in the abdomen, all the willpower that we're using, all of it will start to become much more soft, much more without willpower. So we're turning that whole thing. like basically in the Tao we say that stress and willpower are the main killers of our energy. They exhaust us. They they really, we lose too much energy in it. So once it all starts to soften up, definitely there will be much more opportunities for also for spiritual awakening, for example. Um, so yeah, so um, yeah, if there's no questions, I think then this was kind of sufficient to really introduce you to an introduction of the sexual kung fu. I hope that it made you a little bit curious to want to practice or at least discover it. Just look up sexual kung fu. I do advise women to be taught by a woman because these energies are very sensitive, and men to be taught by men, and to really choose the right guide for you, that you feel that they are safe and that they are, yeah, that they really create a safe space where you can actually explore these things. Yeah, there's so much more. There's like millions of things that keep coming through that want to be explored or looked at, or just wanting to be put into the human collective. But I think this was already enough. Um, I mean, I could go on for hours, to be honest. Oh, that's amazing. I'm so happy. I'm happy to hear that, Lola. Thank you. Um, okay, that's it then. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope, yeah, that, that it was helpful, and I might be able to. Thank you, Tamara. I might be able to do another live or anything like that. You're more than welcome to join my course, obviously. And thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you.